Alright, yep, edition number 3. It just gets worse and worse and worse. It's terrible. These guys are just so evil. And stupidly evil, of course. Alright, so yeah, there's this whole discussion about how we can't destroy life on Earth, blah blah blah. And they don't ever pay attention to anything called science or biology or any of that stuff. I've mentioned neurons before, but we just use neurons as an example. There's only been one kind of thinking device ever created, right? It was based on neurons. There's no example of any other organism on Earth that has a thinking machine made out of anything besides neurons. Intelligence requires, essentially, any kind of grand intelligence, neurons. All the neurons are homogeneous. They're all related to a single neuron that existed somewhere in the past. It's a one-time event. And this asshole... So here in all these millions, hundreds of millions of years, right, we're talking 500 maybe million years. In those 500 million years, no other organism acquired a different kind of neuron in any kind of chemical way. Different seawater levels, different... No, doesn't exist. In all that time, not one other competing variety ever showed up. And he claims that if you reduce the Earth to parameciums, it'll happen again. Even though with all of this complex life on here, all these zombie parts, it doesn't happen, he claims it will happen. It's a fact. What can you say? Sorry, it's not a fact. You're a creationist. Yeah, you're creating evidence that doesn't exist. And you know it doesn't exist, so you're a liar. Essentially, you're just a propagandist, defending nonsense with nonsense as evidence. Your evidence is nonsense, unproven, undemonstrated by the evidence. You're a propagandist. Okay, so then they got into this subjective thing and talking about utilitarianism again. And we've already done these subjects in videos. They've heard the responses, they just keep ignoring the responses. So, what's the point? And they couldn't even come up with the phrase negative utilitarian, which is if you're going to pigeonhole us, that's the pigeonhole you put us in. But again, it's your pigeonholing, so I can just call you all communists, right? I can just label you something and to try to dismiss your philosophy, right? Okay, you're phantasmagoricals, yeah, pretty simple, right? You make shit up, you're liars. Yeah, so liatarians, you're just liatarians and bigots, bigotarians. So you're liatarians and bigotarians. There, are we done now? Good. Yeah. So Pyrrho says the body makes value judgments. So they've spent 2 hours, and that's their brilliant counter theory. The body makes value judgments. So if the body says so, if it desires or wants, that's the value statement. It has nothing to do with whether there's a victim or not. So again, this asshole who whines about rape just defends it all over the place. He's taught right this section here. He's doing his stupid, silly egg sperm theory that he didn't have kids. The sperm did it. So he's blaming his sperm now for the act of procreation. He doesn't have any control. He's not in control. His brain doesn't make decisions. No, his body does. And he can't help himself. And yet this asshole would put people in jail for rape. I mean, the duplicity, the hypocrisy, the absolute drivelly nonsense, this incoherent, non-consistent, absolute crap is their philosophy. So then he brings up love and color preferences. And we've already done, for my part, we've done the examples that we definitely know cupcakes aren't worth cancer. So we know that much. We know that if there was a cupcake store and to get your cupcake a kid had to be injected with cancer, we know that wouldn't be a deal worth buying. That we can universally say nobody buy cupcakes from that machine. So let's not pretend we can't do any of these value designations, that we can't ever say, yeah, that's not worth it. That we can't say 6 million Jews in concentration camps isn't worth a Volkswagen. That we can't figure that out. Fuckers. Alright, so I mean you could just go through every single thing on earth and you could say, how many dead kids is professional wrestling worth, right? I mean, kids have actually been killed, paralyzed, ruined for life, mimicking professional wrestling. So it has killed kids and it has paralyzed kids. Now, if I told you ahead of time that that's going to be the price of a silly girly man soap opera, right, where we're going to have grown men in tights, you know, pretty gay, bounce around in a ring, okay, and pretend to fight with each other and pretend to hate each other and pretend to love each other. Yeah, a soap opera, a fucking soap opera. And you're gonna kill kids for it. You're telling me I'll vote for it. Is that you're honestly going to say that to me, that it's worth it? That professional wrestling has been worth it? It's done its job efficiently. It has utility in the sense that it hasn't cost too much. Really, that's going to be your fucking answer? You'd sacrifice your kid, have your kid paralyzed for life for professional wrestling. And you're going to tell me you have some notion of ethics and decency and sensibility and rationality? No, you have none. We know our entire culture is built upon misperceptions of the real outcomes, the real price of things, our idiotic response to 9/11, this insanely disproportional response. 3,000 people, well, it keeps getting lower and lower, right? 2,000 some people die, and what do? We piss away $2 trillion and kill 1 million people. And you're going to tell me that if you can look at that as a diagram and say that makes sense. Our values are good. And again, I can just keep bringing up the examples. You're going to tell me that if some alien species showed up and said, well, yeah, we pet puppy dogs and we torture and eat pigs. So just call them groks and ducoids. And they'll say to you, well, yeah, no, they have the same intellectual capacity. They have the same capacity emotionally. Yeah, they're just uglier. And they taste better. And you're going to tell me, you're going to sit there and say, oh, that's intelligent life in the universe. Is that what you're going to say to me? That that's intelligent? That that's reasonable? That somebody with a brain should sit there and hear that and say, oh yeah, that makes perfectly good sense? You can say that with a straight face, that I'm supposed to say that makes fucking sense? That's your claim, that I'm being an asshole and an idiot because I'm saying that's idiotic? I mean, but what can you expect? You are all duplicitous, evil, lying scum. So why am I bothering being surprised by this duplicity? Okay. So here on the subject of procreation alone, okay? So these people are pro-procreation, pro-choice. The implications of that are people have babies in cesspools. They have babies on garbage dumps. They have babies they can't feed. They have babies in hooker town. They have babies that will definitely, absolutely, without a doubt, be destroyed. Every day. Horribly. They have babies that will be run over on the fucking street, right in front of their eyes. They have babies in deplorable and disgusting conditions all over the world. Okay, so let's just say the average human life thing, or let's just do the pool, okay? There's going to be a pool of babies born today, whatever it is, 100,000, 150,000, whatever the number is. They're going to be born today, and let's just have the lottery. We'll put the pool in front of you, okay, to draw your straw. You draw it. You're going to tell me that you're not going to have a shaky hand putting your hand in that pool and saying, I'm going to be the lucky winner of being born in the Indonesian hooker house? I'm going to pull the lucky I have AIDS. I'm going to pull the lucky elephantitis. Go look up elephantitis on YouTube and go look at a couple of videos, fuckfaces. For lack of $10 worth of medication, there's kids lying on the ground with 300 pounds of parasites in their legs. And that's what you're creating with your endorsement. But you don't have to draw from that pool. And that's the catch. You never have to be accountable for the torture you impose. You don't have to really live it. You can just pretend, oh yeah, well I'm brave and courageous and I wouldn't have any problem at all living as an asshole. I don't mind being a 500-pound woman in spandex walking down the street singing, cute kitty song, cute kitty song. That wouldn't humiliate me at all. I don't mind being that consciousness. We know the condition of life on Earth. There's, I guess, another video you could watch where, you know, they do the 100 people thing, and only 1.5 of them ever go to college out of 100 human beings born. Only the, 10% have a toilet. Only 15% have sometimes water to drink, and all those numbers. And you're just going to deny their reality, pretend you're lucky. You don't have to worry about it because you don't have to live their lives. And that's all you're doing. And I'm sitting here saying, as a rational consciousness, I'm saying, you're going to drag my hand and force it into that goddamn pool. You're going to force me to do it. You're going to force me to show up on this motherfucking scummy planet again and have to suck your fucking armpits again. The armpits of your stupidity. The armpits of your grotesque, obnoxious insensitivity. And I'm supposed to say thank you? No, I'm going to say fuck you. And especially when you're doing it out of pure, obnoxious bigotry. Okay. Let's see. So the Hythloday just makes these outrageous accusations. He won't consider other value systems. What other value system do you have? I ask you, what's your value system? Well, chimpanzees aren't human. Well, I think that's fucking idiotic. It's not a value system. You haven't explained why their feelings matter. The retarded humans' feelings matter. But go ahead, torture the fuck out of the chimpanzee. The feelings of the cute puppy on my lap matter. You can't kill it. You can't torture it. You can't just grab it from me, put it in a cage, torture it for 10 years or 3 years, and then eat it. Hypocrite. I should consider hypocrisy as a philosophy, a value system, hypocrisy as a value system, duplicity as a value system, as long as it's not in my backyard, as a value system. Why should I consider that? It's ludicrous and stupid. Okay. Yeah, so the real game is I'm supposed to consider value systems where I must be a slave to your frivolous desire. You're telling me I have to consider your right to enslave me to your delusions, to your silly notions of control. I've presented you with two simple words. Consent and accountability. Have you done anything with those? Have you explained how you don't have a higher standard of accountability when you don't have consent? No, don't keep telling me I can't get consent. No, explain to me how you don't have a higher standard of accountability when you don't have consent. When you don't have the consent of the victim, that you have a higher standard of accountability. And have you demonstrated, have you proven your higher standard? Have you met the higher standard? Do you have a philosophical certainty and a surety to impose? I can tell you I have an assurity that fail-safe can be accomplished. I have an assurance that fail-safe provides no room for any kind of error, that what we lose is the same thing we've lost by not having Martians and not having Venetians. And I will claim to you, I will claim that it is a provable fact that no human beings on Earth at this very moment are terribly fretting because there's no Martians on Mars and no Venetians on Venus. Because they know, if they have any kind of scientific knowledge, that they'd probably just be an octopus anyway. So Hythloday keeps saying this, the question at issue, and keeps claiming that somebody hasn't answered his question. What fucking question? State your insane, babbly question. If you put it in something called coherent English, in some sort of coherent question mark statement, I'll answer your question. I have not run from any of your fucking questions. I'm not afraid of your fucking questions. I will not evade your fucking questions. You're just a fucking liar till you prove I have evaded your questions. So then again, Pyrrho brought up activism again. What is the demonstration of your activism? Where is the proof of it? Show me what you have done in the world. Show me how you have activized anything before you claim that we have dulled activism. None of your ideas are practical or useful. You keep using non-existent fantasy language. Well, what if we didn't have a military? Yeah, well, people vote for that, jackass. What's your odds of getting people not to vote for the military? Oh, that's right, 0. So why is this a relevant way to get money to finance anything? Oh, that's right, it's not a relevant way. So you're going to have to tell people you want to raise their taxes to do what you want to do in the world. Do you have an argument that's going to be at all persuasive? Do you think the average person is going to be at all interested in your tree-hugging fantasy theories? No, they're not. They're going to say, fuck you. You're an idiot as an activist. You're an impractical jerk. You're a stupid fucker. So anyway, let's play some of this crap. I should play the Hythloday lies because they're just really irritating. So let's go back a little. Let's see if we can find Hythloday lies. Yeah, so there's Hythloday. See how much he lies. He's such a fucking liar. Do. Oh, YouTube's not gonna play it, is it? Try pause, try play. Nope, that didn't work either. Alright, I guess I have to reload it. Stupid fucking YouTube, Google Tube. Yeah, it's really neat how they're getting rid of your inbox now. So, you know, no more personal messages. I'm not going to read my Google Plus messages. So, if you're going to hope to communicate me with Google Plus, well, it probably ain't going to happen. So obviously I'm going to have to just communicate people with Skype. My Skype is do not God. So, you know, and you can text me. You call me, I'm just going to block you. So don't call unless you ask to call me first.
Found it funny, the whole question of when does life begin? You know, you could ask when does the brain fire up and become sentient. But, I mean, when does life begin? It began billions of years ago. The sperm and the egg are alive. They have a very
the sperm and the egg had kids. He didn't do it.
School of utilitarianism where they've said, oh, you can't maximize that. They did the math, and instead of going, here's how you maximize it, they go, oh, we did the math, and you can't maximize it. So it's real.
Yeah, well, that's not utilitarianism anyway, right? So he's talking about this positive utilitarianism where you're just trying to maximize joy. But I think obviously the thing where you're trying to maximize is the elimination of harm. First, do no harm. Second, prevent harm. These are perfectly logical steps. First, you stop the mess, and then you can start worrying about profit. First, you do something with your debt, and then you worry about making money. I mean, this is just logical. This is just the sequence of events for anybody with a reasoning brain. So it'd be just idiotic not to consider the harm and preventing making the mess. So if you're planning nuclear power plants, your biggest concern isn't how much energy you can get out of the plant. Your biggest concern is don't make a catastrophic mess. Logically, that's how you must think if you're going to be rational in any of these endeavors, is first, don't make a catastrophic mess. And these assholes can't figure that out.
A kind of utilitarianism.
Yeah, totally take that point. I think it's a kind of utilitarianism where they define themselves correct.
Where they define themselves correct with a logical argument that's based on evolution, based on the creation of a sentient organism that's carrots and whips, that controls the organism, and that on balance the whip marks on the back of sentient life are obscene. Okay, most penises born into the world never find a vagina. Okay, I mean, most living things don't reach don't reach maturity for sure. So I'll just say first birthday as some way to metaphor it. But they don't reach birthday one.
But you try to get off the ground in a kind of an argument, you find you're anchored down in the definitions.
Yeah, definitions, right. Suffering be bad, okay. Tasty cake be good, but not good enough to compensate for cancer. It's just, I'm sorry that's the truth, okay. Again, tell me how many people have to die per year from soccer before you would say, yeah, let's not do soccer anymore. How many? I mean, we banned dog fighting in this country and bullfighting because we figured out that it's not worth the torture. You can't torture one fucking bull. Okay? We've said that's not even worth a whole stand full of yelling, screaming, happy people going, yay, 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 blood, blood, blood. And you're going to tell me this is nonsensical rubbish thinking? To sit there and count your victims and go by how many victims you created to say whether it was a good idea? I mean, I can make a bus that just runs over pedestrians. You know, who the fuck cares? They don't matter, right? I can make it go faster and I can make it cheaper. But we all know that nobody's going to finance that. We're all going to say, please, I'd rather not be having a bus ride through the middle of my living room because I am risk averse, because I don't want to be harmed, because I don't want catastrophe. It's perfectly rational to say, don't give me catastrophe. And you assholes are voting for inevitable catastrophe. You have done nothing to correct for it. You have not met your obligation of accountability for your imposition. You have no consent, yet you are exercising as if you do. You are not meeting the higher standard of proof. You are meeting the lowest possible standard, which is, I'll just make up some kind of crap to justify my torture. I'll just pretend it's a chimpanzee, therefore it isn't relevant. And you're just pretending. It's a delusion, you fucking idiot.
In the presuppositions, in points which really are up for debate.
Right. The point up for debate is what? Just how obscene, how many people you will have destroyed, blown up, burned, have their skin peeled off to have your cupcake.
They want you to accept the face value. Their value system, they peg it out and say...
Yeah, I don't peg anything out. I sit here as a feeling thing saying I don't want to have elephantitis. I'm sitting here as a sentient being saying I don't want to die of syphilis. I'm sitting here as a sentient being saying I don't want to be raped to death in some Indonesian hooker house. I don't want it, fucker.
It doesn't work. It's always in the negative. And it's They've chose the value system.
No, you've chosen it, you shithead. This is the joke, right? You're the one making the choice. You're the one asserting the aggressive action. I'm saying fail-safe is sitting right here. We can buy it. And you're saying, no, 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 we're buying this. We're doing this. I'm going to fucking tie you up, throw you in the trunk, and force you to ride our ride. That's the fact of it, shithead. Don't claim that you're not imposing.
They've not considered value systems, and they won't consider any other value systems or the intractability of arguing for values.
Yeah, I'm not going to consider a value system where you say my bigotry makes sense. Yeah, that's just idiotic. I have a subjective bigotry. Chimpanzees be hairy and ugly. I don't care. Go ahead, torture one. Yeah, I'm not going to consider that because it's illogical, unfounded in any kind of rational logical science. It's complete and absolute bigoted rubbish. So yeah, I don't consider that because it's too stupid to be considered.
Systems in the utility sense.
You know, you bring to mind this subtopic of the arguments that really bug me about Ethylism.
Yeah, glib. Yeah, it's really bug me is when they talk about how, well, you know, sometimes your kids die. Oh, yeah, that's right. One of mine did that. Fuck you.
The people give, you know, and one of them is, you know, sort of the knee-jerk ones. I mean, like that get thrown at you, like they have this wild card or this ace up their sleeve, and the one that came to mind is just this art.
Yeah, it's a dirty trick. Yeah, we're hiding fact cards up our sleeves. Ooh. No, you're the one doing that. The magical facts that make your distinction between the pig and the puppy. You go out for a walk every day with your motherfucking little cunt dog, right, while you ate the pig for breakfast. And you're going to tell me that you're not playing with a fucking loaded deck? That you're not cheating the game all over the fucking place, you cunt? No, you're cheating. You're a cheater, period. You have no right to accuse anybody else of cheating, you fucking card-manipulating, lying scumbag.
Argument that I lack compassion. I want to torture third world babies. You know,
quite obviously it's the outcome, right? The real outcome versus the fantasy, hope, wish. Yeah, that's the way it works, jackass. Your fantasies aren't reality. The reality is the babies will be born in shit if you give them license to be born in shit. If you say it's okay, then it's going to fucking happen, shithead, and it's happening because you're saying it's okay. If you want to stop something, you have to say the word stop, asshole. You can't even show up to the scene of the rape, and you can't even say the word stop, let alone actually do something about it. You won't even say the word stop. That's how despicable you are.
Face of the fact that, hey, I think you're doing something that's going to retard the effectiveness of activists.
Yeah, so again with his activism. Alright, I'll jump ahead. Well, what should I do? Okay, I'll play some video and then I'll turn the camera on. I'll do it that way. I just don't want to take notes anymore. I don't want to do this. These people are not worth my time. They're evil, nasty, retarded fucking assholes. They're just such colossal, lying fucking assholes. Despicable.
It's the lack of agreement and their lack. It's one of Inmendham's classic insults. You know, we're bigots, we're rapists, but just for the fact that we disagree with him and.
Yeah, you're right. Now, it's not just we disagree. It's that you're giving license to the drunk driver, so to speak, or the criminal, the activity, regarding the activity at issue. You're giving license to it. We're not. So quite obviously, there's the distinction, and you're doing it in just overtly bigoted manner. I don't like chimpanzees. That's the extent of your logic.
He seems unwilling to give concrete answers to our direct questions.
Prove that. I mean, that's you keep making that lie. You keep saying that, shithead. Prove it. Prove it. You're a liar. You're a fucking slandering liar.
his answers to questions, and even his questions are metaphoric.
I mean, this is the asshole who keeps playing movie clips, and he's going to talk about other people's violation of metaphor. I mean, can you be more of a duplicitous motherfucking hypocrite? No, you can't. This is hypocrisy at its pinnacle. I mean, really, the analogies I've given are perfectly reasonable. Go ahead, explain to me how the analogy of a gladiator war for natural selection is an inappropriate, nonsensical metaphor. Go ahead, explain it to me how it's a wrong metaphor. Go ahead, come on. Do you have the ball? Do you have ball one? Just one little scurvy, wrinkly testicle? Do you? Explain how that metaphor is inappropriate. Explain how consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction is inaccurate. Well, again, you're going to sit there and say cannibalism means you have to eat actual human flesh. Even though, no, we know that the word cannibalism is used to describe a kind of sacrificing your own kind or something of equal value. Parasitism, there you go. Okay, we'll just change it to consumption, reproduction, parasitism, addiction. Where's your logical, no, that's not the truth. And what would you add to that equation? Love. Is that what you would add? Those 4 words plus love? Is that, and you're going to tell me that's supposed to mean something to me intellectually? I'm supposed to, as an intelligence, I'm supposed to say, well, gee, isn't that a magic word? I can't wait till the aliens show up in the love boat and start talking about love, love. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Where are the white women at? Yeah, fuck you.
And they lack any substance. So, yeah, it's a classic retort, but it's just one of many Inmendham gifts, I find.
Yeah, I find you're a liar. A slandering liar.
The other thing is more subtle, and you guys might very well likely not get my point or be on the other side of this. I mean, not that you wouldn't understand it, but
this is
which is that, you know, I just think that when you get into the subtlety of this procreation thing,
here we go.
You know, I always found it funny, the whole question of when does life begin? You know, you could ask when does the brain like fire up and become sentient?
Yeah, when does procreation begin? Oh, that's right, when you stick the unprotected penis in the vagina with a silly expectation that egg isn't going to get fertilized. You have the power, you don't exercise the power, that's how it begins. Even retarded people know this. There's retarded people that have actually been instructed in birth control and understand how to stop reproduction from happening. Actual retards can do it, Pyrrho. And yet you can't. The sperms are talking to you. And you can hear the egg. Is that it? And you're going to be a political activist with your the egg and the sperm can't help it theory. People are going to say, oh gee, that guy's so fucking smart. No, they're going to say, that guy belongs in the ultra green party. Radioactive green. Fucking idiot. Fucking idiot.
Sentience. He hasn't got much care or concern for rocks or earthworms, as I understand it.
Yeah, where? Where do you understand that from? Where have I ever said earthworms don't feel? No, I've said exactly the opposite. I said all creatures that can learn probably feel. So, yeah, earthworms probably do feel because they can learn left and right. Okay, you can teach them that, you know, with water and dryness, that dryness is always to the left and water is always to the right, and they will learn to go left or right based on that. He says they have 12 neurons. I think that's nonsense. So what do you want me to say? This is just idiotic. So again, you got it wrong again. Your accusation is wrongly premised. You're conducting a fake trial. This is a kangaroo court where you make up the evidence, you make up lies, and then spout them as if true. So you're just a slandering, lying cunt. much like to be serious.
But earthworms have...
Yes, so speaking of which, there's little Karen right there. Lying bitch.
A couple of neurons, or half a dozen, or a dozen or so.
I guess you just made that up, right? You just made it up, right? Yeah, you just made that up. I don't think you could plow your way through the ground and avoid getting eaten by birds and figure out how to, absorb the right nutrients with 12 neurons. I just don't think that's possible. Durr.
And the same question is applicable here. When does sentience begin? And this strikes...
Well, who the fuck cares? Is that really all that important? Do you really... I mean, if you want to include, like we can, there's all kinds of evidence indicating that insects do fucking feel. So yeah, that just makes the horror story... I can give you insanely horrible stories taking place on Earth every fucking day. I can give you more evidence of catastrophic unacceptability. Catastrophe. Holocaust on top of Holocaust on top of Holocaust. We could just go through the history of termites and ant conflicts. There was, there's a little cartoon movie about that. But I mean, maybe you should think about it for a millisecond and just try to imagine for a millisecond, okay, this big giant Earth covered with so many sentient beings every day grinding out idiotic existences and being eaten alive over and over and over again by your endorsement. You fucking evil cunt. The only God that can rescue them, and you won't show up to do it. You won't put the superhero suit on and do the right thing. You're just going to sentence them to the slavery, to the fucking DNA molecule over and over and over again. You have the power to rescue them. You have the power to deliver the morphine, and you won't do it merely because you're an obstinate, egomaniacal, motherfucking cunt, phantasmagorical, douchebag idiot.
To my objectivity question about pain, you see, because I tried to make a video in which somebody's made a robot which bumps into things and says ouch and stuff.
Okay, so there you go. Is there any point, really? I mean, can Karen, Kobe, can you be a little bit rational and honest and just say for a change, that's an outrageous comparison? To compare a sentient pig to a machine that goes ouch, that says ouch? That's the definition of sentience? That we don't know what conscious experience is? This douchebag is going to tell me I don't know what pain is. This asshole who finds it necessary to attempt to kill himself somehow is telling me pain doesn't exist. That it's not a real thing. That it's just a computer going ouch. That the theater, the illusion inside of our brains of sensation is not real enough to justify thinking it has more meaning than calcified rust or something. A mineral on a rock. I can't make a distinction between sentient being and calcium carbonate.
At what point
At what point is this too fucking stupid? How can you fucking cunts, Rizzle, Dizzle, all you assholes, how can any of you assholes endorse this nonsense?
The matter of fact of a neural activity constitute value? And I think that's a question in another value question.
Right, well, that's a question and issue, right. So why the fuck would I want to have a conversation with somebody this nihilistic? He's saying my sentience is the same as a computer writing out the word ouch. Yeah, pitiful.
Related in the, but tied into another question, which is if you want to call it objective, you have to be able to answer the question:
Yeah, you can't answer the question of why you have the right to impose. Why you have no consent. You're going to impose without consent. You have no proof or evidence of the efficacy of your experiment. You're just saying the experiment is worth doing because I say so. That's so far all I've heard from you. You think it's a good experiment, period. There's no logic to base it on. Nothing I can find any connection to whatsoever. You have some vague talk about rainbows and you know, silly putty and playing with your Play-Doh, and so that was fun, and so therefore I should say everything the Holocaust was worth it because Hythloday got to play with his Play-Doh. And again, how is this supposed to? This is supposed to have a logical impact on me. It's supposed to say to me, "Oh, gee, I never considered that. That's just so brilliant." Of course, the Holocaust was worth it because a retard enjoys his toys. Fuck. All right, I'll be back.
Because I tried to make a video in which somebody's made a robot which bumps into things and says, "Ow."
Okay, I know this is a repeat.
At what point
I'll go get the Pyrrho.
does the matter of fact
I got to.
of a neural activity
this will be the last. This will be the
I
end.
think that's a question in another value question.
There's no need to go any further.
Related in, but tied into another question, which is if you want to call it objective, you have to be able to answer the question.
Yeah, we know what's sentient on Earth. We can tell by its behavior and the number of neurons it has. So again, organisms that can learn are likely sentient. There's lots of indicators of what would be what would establish the existence of a sensate being, because the capacity it can learn, and the learning is going to require reward and punishment. So that's a perfectly logical explanation. So we know what organisms are sentient and which ones aren't. We know what the function of the neurology is. So again, there's no point in having this argument. Evolution does not provide us with the origin species, the transition species, okay, before fish. So yeah, we don't have little half brain, quarter brain, you know, dissecting the brain down, and so we don't know exactly when sentience occurred, but we know that sentience is functionally dependent on the cognitive, and the cognitive is dependent on the sentience. You can't learn without reward and punishment. Reward and punishment have no meaning if there isn't a theater, a screen for it to be projected on. So we know that the illusion of consciousness is created by creating a screen and a projector. That it projects a motivating sensation. It's projected onto the screen is viewed by the intelligence tries to map a solution to the problem created on the screen. This is a perfectly rational, perfectly decent explanation. You're just ignoring it and saying, I'm not answering the question. This is a perfectly rational explanation of the function, and you're just denying the fact that it's been provided to you. You haven't counter-argued it. You haven't defeated it in any way. You're just glibly walking right the fuck over it and pretending because it suits your purposes, because you're a lying scumbag.
When does sentience begin? You know, and even if you could say, well, it's clearly at 100,000 neurons, not a neuron less, you know, counts as...
Yeah, so nobody's saying that. So again, you're just going to keep ignoring what people are saying, and they're saying that you can see it in the behavior of the organism, and you can intuit and deduce from the evidence that it must be sensate for it to do that function, because that function would have no meaning if it wasn't sensate.
As sentience, clearly, objectively, this is true. You have to answer then the question, why is it that 99,000 neurons...
why do we have to answer why? We know it's a tool that enables organisms to survive. Being able to scheme and learn is fundamental to survival. So there's no why that needs answering here whatsoever. This is just a canard. This is a distraction. This is nonsense. We know the world, planet Earth, is covered with sensate organisms. We know that most of the life on Earth is not sensate. It has no neurology. It has no brain. It's just a mechanical device, just a piece of chemistry essentially, and little else that replicates, and that's all it does. It's a machine. And we know the difference between a machine and a sensate living thing. And you people are imbecile. This is imbecilic to argue that you don't understand this.
Doesn't count as sentience.
I think it's in all life, right? You know that.
Okay,
I believe
so here we go.
It's not sentience is not the right word.
Okay, it's in all life. Sentience isn't the right word. So this is the typical Pyrrho distraction. He says it's in all life, but no, it's not sensate. No, I'm going to change the word now. So he doesn't agree. He's just saying it, and now he's going to speak his crap. I mean, it's just such a typical Pyrrho move. Pretending.
But I believe that there's consciousness is associated with life and is associated with this value system. I believe all life has value system, and that's why way back.
Okay, so what's the point, right? I believe all life has a value system, even though it doesn't have a brain, it can't feel. So, but it has a value system. Do I really have to do more? I mean, we're back to this argument. But what's the fucking point of having science and having logic if idiots are going to be able to just stand up and say that and be listened to and have to be responded to? Why should anybody have to respond to somebody who says consciousness exists in all living things, even if they don't have a brain? Why? Why do we have to do this? This, like I said, is there a creationist on Earth saying something stupider than that? Show me a creationist saying something dumber than that. That brains isn't where consciousness is. Show me a creationist saying something dumber than what Pyrrho just said. Show me.
I showed the paramecium getting eaten by the amoeba, and you...
Right, and we did this already, right? So again, what's the point of having the conversation? You counter-argue, you explain there's no brain, Pyrrho. It's chemically react. It doesn't even have an electrical nervous system. It's a chemical nervous system, and all it's doing is responding in the same way to every single impediment it bangs into. It goes back 3 spaces, turns left 25 degrees, and goes forward. It backs up 3 spaces, turns left 25 degrees, and goes forward. That's what it does. He's calling that consciousness. He's calling that it's thirsty, it wants, it's horny. That's what he's calling that. And I'm supposed to say this is a rational conversation, that this conversation isn't more disgusting than arguing the practicality of Noah's Ark. This is disgusting.
Can tell when the paramecium feels trapped.
Feels trapped. I mean, no, this is, no, I am not going to do this. This is too stupid. I will not do this. I will not talk about feelings in non-brains. I'm not going to talk about what my hand is going to do when I cut it off and it's sitting on the table and it feels isolated. No, I'm not going to do that. This is too fucking stupid. I should not have to respond to people this idiotic. You all should be stoning him off the internet. Come on, where are you, Karen? Where are you? Do you believe this crap, Karen? Do you believe this Styzor? Do you believe this hover blubber? Do any of you fuckheads commenting on this piece of shit video, Roberto too, do you believe this shit? Come on, you fucking assholes. You won't call this goddamn nonsense. You won't call this a goddamn waste of my goddamn time. This fucking cunt has the fucking obnoxiousness to say how other people are dulling activism. You're dulling intelligence. You're dulling fucking logic with this fucking convoluted idiocy. The conscious paramecium. It feels trapped. Fuck you. Too fucking stupid.